Jokic. Nikola Jokic had his triple-double, but the guy who did the damage on the ninth, and I am so excited to see him, is Jamal Murray with 35 points on the ninth. You have to remember, this guy struggled with an ACL injury. He was out with the ACL injury for about a season. And then he comes back and he was struggling. You know how it is when somebody's game is based on his athleticism and then he has that knee injury. There's a handicap there with his shooting, with his defense. But somehow, through the season, he has started to build back his plays, build back his stamina, and he's back in it. So great one for Nikola Jokic, great one for Denver Nuggets that, Jamal Murray is back on it. So they're able to knock out the Timberwolves by 4-1 in that series. But winning that qualifies them to play against another big team in the West, which are the Phoenix Suns. Now, the Phoenix Suns also closed out their series early hours of this morning by knocking out Clippers. Here, the problem was with Clippers. That series, the Suns versus the Clippers, was supposed to be one of the tightest and closest series. Unfortunately, for the Clippers, they lost Kawhi Leonard during the series. So if they still had him, they'd already lost Paul George before the series, but if they still had Kawhi Leonard, I don't think that series will be closed out. It was closed for several moments, but you have the only big name, big star on Clippers was Russell Westbrook, who also had his own struggles all through the season, and he was playing against Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Ayton Senna. You're looking at they say Ayton Senna. Ayton Senna is a Formula 1 driver. He was playing against Andre Ayton, the center for Phoenix Suns. So you have the big stars for Phoenix Suns being represented against the Clippers, who had their own star players out of commission. So it was always going to be it. The Lakers tried, the Clippers tried. They pushed the game as close as possible. But in the third quarter, Phoenix Suns scored 50 points. One quarter. 50 points. How do you compete with that? Devin Booker alone scored 24 points in the third quarter. Ask me how many points the Clippers scored in the third quarter.
Tell me.
24. So Devin Booker alone outscored the entire Clippers.
Oh, wow.
It was always going to be a tough competition. But yeah, sadly, because of the loss of, we will never know, that series could have been great, but because of the loss of Kawhi and Paul George, we didn't see the greatness in that series. But what that means is the Clippers are out, and Phoenix Suns now move and they play against Denver Nuggets. So it's going to be Devin Booker, Kevin Durant against Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. We can't wait to see that happen.
Okay, now the FIA says due process was followed in the departure of a former employee after sexism allegations emerged against its president.
Yes, so huge one. I want you to just read through the statement, because FIA can be alone to themselves.
All right. So the spokesperson says due process was followed with an amicable negotiation conducted by the president of the Senate, and as such, no referrals were made to the ethics committee. As previously stated, both parties agreed she would leave her position in November 2022, and mutual privacy terms were agreed as is common business practice.
All right. So they're claiming, the FIA, there was a female staff who left, Shala, who left her position after just 6 months in the job in December last year. And she mentioned there was an alleged letter written where she spoke about the president, Ben Sulayem, with his sexism behavior, and that's why she was resigning. Now, ideally, if a staff makes that kind of complaint, you forward those kind of things to the ethics committee. But what they're saying here is that the Senate Commission sat down with both parties and they negotiated terms and conditions for her to go. So they didn't even bother taking up through the channels. But they're still now saying due process is followed. And and here's what it is. Ben Sulayem is on record for actually making sexist remark. There was one time he said that he doesn't like women who think they are smarter than men. That is not just true. That it never happens. I'm like, are you all right? There are some women that are smarter.
I mean,
it's nothing to do with gender. I'm smart. Exactly. I'm smarter than you. You're just better opportunity. But that's not the issue for today. But he's on record for having said that. So he has a history. We're talking about Ben Sulayem that came into F1, and he's fought everybody. He's fought team principals. He has a lot of controversies. Some of them, well, we can't prove the sexist. Those, I mean, they've sorted that out. But some of them are bullying, controlling. A lot of people have come out to say that. So it's not like he's it's somebody without an accusation. But for them to claim that they followed due process when they didn't even take that complaint to the ethics committee is where the problem is. And here's my issue with the FIA. It's a law unto itself, and it cannot be that way. When everything goes on the FIA, you can't take it to CAS, you can't take it to every arbitration is still handled by the body itself. It is nonsense. How can you write exam and mark your script yourself? I need somebody. I just need somebody, because they're a registered company, so they must have an arbitration that is outside the FIA. So I need somebody, whether it's the EU, whether it's Interpol, whether it's FBI, somebody needs to start an investigation with this. I am done. They cannot not answer to somebody. It's not right.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, we'll leave that and we'll focus on what may happen this weekend. Formula One is back this weekend, but we're talking more about that on Friday. But for today, let's talk about some people from North London who want to win the title.
Now, Arsenal's manager Mikel Arteta has urged his Premier League leaders to make the most of an incredible opportunity when they travel to Manchester City on Wednesday. He says it's going to be a tough night and challenge, yes, but the opportunity is incredible for them.
All right, so that's what Mikel Arteta said. This is an incredible opportunity for Arsenal's team to show their mettle. They come against a Manchester City side who are just 5 points behind Arsenal, but Manchester City have 2 games in hand. Now, we're talking about an Arsenal side that have dropped 6 points in their last, from a possible 9 points in their last 3 matches. And in 2 of those matches, they led by as many as 2 goals before they eventually dropped those 2 points. So not in good form. On the other hand, you're looking at the Manchester City side who've knocked out Bayern Munich from the Champions League, who are through to the FA Cup final, and who have a player in Erling Haaland who has scored over 40 goals already this season. So we're looking at a team in form against a team that is perhaps struggling with their confidence right now. Your thoughts? Manchester City taking on Arsenal today at the Etihad Stadium. How do you see that match going down? And what do you think the eventual scoreline is? The numbers to call are
0144899881.
again
0144899881. Why do you sound like a crime mistress?
I just need them to hear this, because I don't have anything to say about this Arsenal Manchester City. I just want to hear other people say it. And so there's strength in numbers today. So today, tell us, what do you think? Manchester City taking on Arsenal. How do you think that match will play out? And what do you think the scoreline will be? While we wait for your call, let's take some messages. From Daniel from Ojo, he says,
Man City 4, Arsenal 1. The league ends today and everyone else will rest. The elephant is in the mud.
All right, so but let me read his other message before we leave Daniel. Daniel says Real Madrid decided to do giveaway at this point of the season. They'll start stretching players to meet up and produce results at both the Champions League and La Liga. So that's Daniel from Ojo. Daniel from Ojo says that Manchester City will defeat Arsenal by 4-1, and the league is ending today. We're still waiting on those phone calls, but first let's take this message from Tayo, who says
Real Madrid went on holiday before the season ends, because what sort of game plan was that by Don Carlo? Reece and Mount have seen Lampard's tenure at Chelsea. That's why they've both opted with injury. Tottenham with the giveaway
after the giveaway. All right, so let's take a quick break. When we come back is when we'll be taking those phone calls. I see the phone lines going, but we'll only take those phone calls after this break. People should call back after the break. Sorry.
I'm exhausted.
So let me explain why it is. So I think it's because you have to get up really early and you start working almost immediately. Like if you started from 8, your energy, yeah, your energy will be up because you're starting as early as 6 a.m., which means you had to get up at maybe 4,
and then
yeah,
jump up.
yeah, probably mid-afternoon energy.
I know.
That's what
Oh
it
my
is.
days.
They can walk in now when we go on. So we'll take those messages after this break.
Okay. What are you picking at? Oh, excuse me.
Sorry, people. We are still trying ourselves out. She's tired.
Yeah.
I'm bored. I'm bored with my hair.
Bored in the house, bored in
And
the house.
unfortunately, it's so permanent to cut the hair.
Like, these are the kind of decisions that you have to test out. So get a tiny hairless wig and see how you look. And if you'd like it for a few days.
No. But I liked it in the beginning. I'm bored now.
Bored of the hair, bored of the hair, bored.
And I hate wearing wigs.
Oh, wow.
If you've noticed. But I'm going to start. So when I have an event, I'll probably put on a wig. Just to change my look.
Get some water.
But I'm bored of this look.
Bored of the hair, bored of the hair.
Yeah, no, bored of the hair. Bored of the look, bored of the look. Ah. Exactly. Just leave it for cross ventilation. Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
Blackout.
Yeah, we'll come back. Are we back?
6 seconds, yes.
All right, people. So we'll be taking the calls. We'll be opening the phone lines. You give the number again when we come back.
You're in the locker room on Smooth 98.1. Tega and Zibby were talking about sports. And yes, you can now give us a ring. Tega?
All right, the numbers to call. You know I don't know those numbers, right?
Tega, you know those numbers. Tega just likes making me do all the work. 0144899981.
All right, so while we wait on those calls, let's take this message. George says,
I just want to inform Arsenal fans that this is not the game that will restore their hope of winning the Premier League. Wow.
George, what a terrible person you are. Didn't you go to church on Sunday? Emeka Onelum says,
that sexism story just showed there are a lot of things in Nigeria we take for granted because sexist statements here happen all the time and we see as normal. Yes. As for the Arsenal game, with the absence of Saliba, just the thought of Rob Holding facing Haaland gives me nightmares. Zinchenko has also been dodgy too. Wahala day.
All right. And Tayo says, Haaland with the long hair. Okay, before we take Haaland, let's take this phone call. Hello, good morning. Yes, give us your name and your location, please. All right. Tell us, what do you think? Manchester City taking on Arsenal at the Etihad today?
Okay, so my own opinion, I mean, everything points towards Man City winning, considering the form of both clubs. But I'm kind of looking at something that happened with Man City's second leg against Man U, and an upset that nobody saw coming. So I'm predicting either a 2-2 draw or Arsenal actually winning this. Shocking.
Wow. I'm gonna put my bet. I'll put my bets on this guy. He actually says shockingly. I like those strange odds. Those strange odds usually bring the money. He says Arsenal can shock Manchester City, and I understand what he means. Man City can have their off day, but because Arsenal's problem is not entirely talent-wise, it's mental. That's where my problem is with Arsenal. All right, so let's take Lamre from the abroad. He says,
guys, okay, really, well, thank you for letting us know about that, and our team will be
we'll
on
look at it and we'll get back to you. Thank you so much for telling us, Larry. Noemot says,
Man City will be Arsenal. That is what I have to say. Tell Arsenal fans, say Otilo.
Oh yeah, that's my song. We are going to release the hit song. All right, let's take this phone call before we release our hit song. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, please.
Manchester United, take the lead because they have another pitch, they're in Paris form and all of that. But Arsenal also understand the fact that having been on top for all this while losing the top spot is going to be a psychological setback for them. So I believe they're going to put in all their best, and most likely they're going to come out from Exeter with a draw or a win. So for me, it's either a win or a draw for Arsenal. Thank you.
All right. He says either a win or a draw for Arsenal. I like these bold calls we are making. I need those phone calls to keep coming. Tell us what you think. 2 calls now have said a draw or a win for Arsenal. So they still think after tonight's match, it will be advantage Arsenal. I mean, if I were an Arsenal fan, I'd have been praying that this match came a little closer to the Champions League, because then Pep will have no choice but to focus on Real Madrid. Oh well. Let's read one more message before we move from this story. Toyib says, good morning.
There's nothing like upset tonight. It's Man City 3, Arsenal 1.
All right.
So it sounds like he has the future in the looking glass.
Let me just tell you what's happening. So WhatsApp is saying Manchester City. Phone lines are saying Arsenal. Let's take some more stories.
All right. Girona striker Castellanos hit an incredible 4 goals as his side thrashed Champions League champions Real Madrid 4-2 in La Liga on Tuesday, and that's helped the leaders Barcelona edge just a bit closer to the trophy.
Yeah, so Barcelona didn't. Oh, let's take this one phone call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay.
Want to have anything to do with Arsenal, but City to win. Since everybody, City to win outright.
Okay, all right. City to win outright. Somebody has invaded the telephone space and he has come in to say City to win outright. So let's go back to the Barcelona story now. Barcelona, yes, getting advantage and safe without even kicking a ball on the night. And Real Madrid did it all by themselves. So Carlo Ancelotti put out a team that I thought, even without Benzema on a normal day, will still get the goals even without Benzema, will get the goals for Real Madrid. But here comes Real Madrid. Starting the game a little slowly. They look like, Vinicius Junior from the start looked like he was always going to play. Unfortunately, for the rest of the team, they didn't catch up with Vinicius Junior, and he was getting easily riled up. The first goal goes in. I was like, okay, Real Madrid will buckle up. Then it becomes 2-0. And then Real Madrid gets 1 goal. And you think from there on out, Real Madrid is going to dominate, equalize, and eventually win the game. But the game turns on its head when the third goal comes, and it is still a goal for Girona. And then the 4th goal is still a goal from Girona. All of them by 1 player. I don't want to say Real Madrid were distracted by other things. I know that because of the way they played, because of the way they attacked the Girona goal, that they really wanted to win. They really wanted to get all the points. Unfortunately, it wasn't their night. And Girona, they like to play football too. They were playing at home. They watered the grass just the way they like it so that the ball will move swiftly. They soaked in pressure, and when they had the ball, they moved it really quickly up the pitch, and they were direct. So I don't want to believe that Real Madrid literally dropped the ball. I think it was Girona that decided they were going to take all 3 points on the day, and they took it. All right. So let's take some messages from YouTube.
All right. Ibokwe Joshua says, I actually want Arsenal to win. Kunle says Arsenal 3, City 2. And Ibokwe also asks, Tega, why do you always sit down?
I'm 5'3". How will you see me if I'm sitting down?
Abiola says Man City 2, Arsenal 3. And LK says Arsenal fans giving themselves hope. I laugh in Spanish. The league ends today.
All right. So let's take this phone call. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ted.
All right. Go ahead. Tell us. What do you think? Manchester City versus Arsenal.
All out because they know is a win or they are out of the race. So they're going to come all out and they're going to end up leaving spaces that Man City is going to take advantage of, and it's going to end in a rout 4-0 to Man City.
Wow.
And it's going to work against them.
All right.
So it's going to be a 4-0.
All right, thank you so much. He says 4-0. They have invaded the phone lines. Can some people invade WhatsApp? We'll talk about that first. But are we done with the YouTube messages?
Yes, we
are.
All
right, let's take the next story because we're really almost out of time.
Tottenham players have offered to reimburse fans the cost of their match tickets from Sunday's 6-1 hammering, annihilation, destruction at Newcastle as they offered a public apology.
I want to say this. They shouldn't pay for this ticket yet. You understand? Because the stress is still coming. So remember that they hired an interim manager after they fired Conte. They fired him too.
Conte's assistant.
Yeah. They fired Conte's assistant. And now they've put in the assistant of the assistant, who is Ryan Mason. Now this Ryan Mason has interim before after Mourinho was fired, so it's familiar position for him. But I'm just saying, considering the fact that they're facing a Manchester United tomorrow, it may be safe to just keep the money. So if there's another route against Manchester United, you pay all at once. You know, you don't want to pay per second. So yeah, but they are going to refund the money to the fans that went to witness the horror show, because that's what it was against Newcastle. And yes, I like that the players have some remorse. I just need them to have some ambition. And that's where the problem with Tottenham has been. This team, starting out as one of the youngest team in the Premier League, now they are becoming one of the oldest teams in the Premier League. Nothing. No title to show for it.
Nothing to show for it.
Nothing. Time has gone, but still no trophies for Tottenham. And you can argue about Daniel Levy being the problem with his transfer situation in the market, but he has bought some players. And you can argue about coach after coach, but you know, the coaches are not crazy. You know, when coaches come onto the scene and they are all saying the same thing about we can see potential, we just don't know why the results are not coming. It cannot be the coaching. It has to be that at some point in time the players had enough to, you know, enough to step up, but not enough to stand out. And people don't understand how big that threshold is. The difference between being good and being great. And that's where psychologically, because I think that's also the problem, Tottenham has missed it. But they face Manchester United tomorrow. So let's see if they'll be able to bounce back against Manchester United. Not sure, but let's pray for them.
All right, Chelsea defender Reece James and midfielder Mason Mount will miss the rest of the season due to injuries, and this has been confirmed by Frank Lampard.
All right, so Chelsea take on Brentford today, and Frank Lampard is ruling out his injury list. I wasn't surprised to see Reece James on that roll call because he's been unfortunate with injuries. But he says Mason Mount may be back even for the last game, but also injuries. But I mean, any injuries now for Chelsea would not be too much because Chelsea have players in abundance. I mean, thinking about when Thiago Silva said they had to expand the dressing room, the locker room, because they had more players. I think that'll be fine. That should not be the problem. I think what Lampard should be focusing on is how he's going to set up against a rampant Brentford side. He hasn't had a win since he became manager. He struggled to pick a starting 11, and I think those are the key problems for him, and those are the key issues for him. So his focus shouldn't be who's out. I think who's out should make him breathe a little easy. At least now you can pick any other player. You have a few less choices. So his issue should be, how do we stop rampant Ivan Toney from getting some goals against us tonight? And how do we score on the other end? Because that has also been a problem for Chelsea. All right, so we don't have time, so let's just take all these messages. Cruz says, I'm not here to predict anything. We are here to enjoy the fireworks. Who knows? Maybe there's hope for us now.
Tayo says, Haaland with the long hair is about to whip Arsenal with the phone called congrats in advance to Pep and his team, and nothing more hurtful than Arsenal keeping the top spot warm by its eventual winner. I hope Arsenal doesn't disappoint their fans because they're looking like a season after season telenovela.
Ah, wow. Nwankwo Anthony says, Arsenal will lose by 3-0. Wow. And Chinwe Nancy says, Tega, Arsenal, Otilo. So here's from Mide. He says,
as an Arsenal fan, I wish we could win, but I know we can't. I think City will beat us 3-1 again.
And Big E from Keto, your message is the last message we'll take on the show. And he says, Tega, Manchester City will defeat Arsenal today. 1-0. I don't give up on them. Wow. And that's all we can take. We'll come back on Friday. Whatever happens, if there's a miracle at Etihad, you hear it here. If there's a thrashing at Etihad, you hear it here. But make no mistakes, you will hear it in the locker room what happened at the top of the Premier League table. For now, we leave the studio for Zibby.
Stay with us, there's a lot more to come. Lagos Talk starts from 9.